What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to another edition of Giants Collective. As always, joined by Adriana down there, Anthony over there, Chris down in the corner where he belongs down here. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, we get ready for week 8 of the NFL season.
Wow.
And as always, big shout outs to our sponsors, Sleeper and SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective for this football season. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram as well. And you can check us out wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. And if you listen to us on Apple, if you can give us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. Don't forget to like the video. It helps us out. Don't forget to subscribe. They cost nothing to do so. But if you want to help out your favorite Giants content creators, that's the best way to do it. So we appreciate you tuning in for another edition as we get ready to take on them disgusting, gross, filthy fucking Eagles again. But before we get into the preview of that, Adriana obviously was not here on Tuesday, and I'm sure she wanted to say some shit about the game in Denver. So before we get into the Eagles, we are going to allow her to give her thoughts on what happened in the Mile High City. The floor is yours, Adriana.
I appreciate that. I just watched some of the offensive and defensive film, and let's start with the good, because there was a lot of good that came out of this game. And, you know, it's really unfortunate that they lost, because Jackson Dart played an incredible game against the second best defense in the NFL, against a defensive coordinator who was going to throw everything he possibly could at him, and he had to be able to adjust and make smart decisions. And outside of that interception, he had a hell of a game. He was accurate, threw great balls. We had amazing run game. The offensive line, Andrew Thomas, we didn't hear a peep about Nick Bonito, who had the nerve to talk shit all week. And Andrew Thomas said, not on my watch. And then when he couldn't handle Andrew Thomas, he went to Jermaine Illuminor, and Jermaine Illuminor said, not today, son. So the offensive line, fantastic. Opening up holes for the run game. Tyrone Tracy, 31-yard touchdown. Great to have him back looking like himself. Scattaboo, every single week, brings us joy. Nothing not to love about him. And again, Dart had a great game. The tight ends were involved. You know, I was a little disappointed that we didn't see a lot of little Jordan Humphrey. I kind of thought that he had the opportunity to have a big game there. So I was a little disappointed in that. But other than that, the offense moved the ball well. They scored in the red zone. You know, outside of having a kicker who can't kick, the offense was great. And then the defense, Brian Burns leads the NFL in sacks, tackles for loss. Abdul Carter leads the rookies by double digits with the most amount of pressures. I mean, there's so much talent on this team. Cordell Flott, another unbelievable game, an unexpectedly unbelievable game. We should be talking about a win, and it's so depressing that we're not, especially the way that the game ended, you know, after starting out 19 unanswered points, like something we've probably have not seen in God knows how long as Giants fans, a shutout for 3 entire quarters. I mean, it's just an example of what this Giants football team is, that the game's not over until it's over, and that one decision or one mistake, if one thing goes differently, we have 4 wins by now, possibly 5. So it's just there's always something that goes wrong. And it's what's so frustrating about this team. They still can't win 2 in a row. The defensive collapse. I mean, I watched that play. I watched the Bobby Skinner breakdown. I watched the Big Blue Banter breakdown of that goddamn play where Shane Bowen rushes 3 and drops 8. And, you know, the thing that was so infuriating to me about it, aside from the fact that we almost saw the exact same thing happen with the Cowboys, is that Shane Bowen had the nerve to get up on the podium after the Cowboys game and say, this is on me. I shouldn't have made that call. And then he doesn't. He did the exact same thing. And I know it's not the exact same play call. I understand that. I know people are going to be like, well, it's not exactly the same thing. I understand. It's the same premise. You rush 3 players and you don't have 2 of your best defensive players on the field. What is wrong with you? There is not a single logical decision for you to say, I'm going to leave Dexter Lawrence and Abdul Carter on the sidelines when there's 38 seconds left. They have no timeouts, and this is an opportunity for us to close up the game and be aggressive. When your coach has told you to be aggressive, your players have told you to be aggressive, what the fuck are you doing? I can't understand it. There's no logical reason. Dexter Lawrence comes out after the game and said, I wanted to be on the field. Don't ask me why I wasn't out there. Brian Burns is screaming outside the locker room. And I think he did a great job, trying to say it wasn't about Shane Bowen. Whatever. I don't care what it was about. Screaming about it afterwards was perfectly fair as far as I think all us fans are concerned. So it's really depressing and it's upsetting to know that not only should we be at least 4-3, possibly 5-2, it's the same mistakes over and over again that cost us games. And the most important thing that I want to see this front office do this week, and if they don't do it, I am pooling my money together for a plane, because you cannot do the same shit week in and week out, year after year, and not learn your goddamn lesson. If they trot out Graham Gano on Sunday, that's fine. You better have Koo on the goddamn roster. Because he's 38 years old. It wouldn't be the first time if all of a sudden he gets injured in pregame warmups or he kicks one field goal or one extra point and then he's broken. They have to back themselves up and provide some sort of protection for themselves and this team. It's just asinine to me. They already decided that Shane Bowen has cost them multiple games, but they're not going to fire him. Fine. You don't want to fire him. That's your prerogative. But you have to protect your job and actually try to win games. So you better have Koo on the goddamn roster this week or I'm going to fucking lose my mind.
I put that on Twitter. I said you better suit them both up. Before we get into the preview, as always, this portion of Giants Collective is sponsored by our friends at SeatGeek. Make sure you click the link in the description and the promo code Giants Collective 10 for 10% off your tickets at SeatGeek. Love having them aboard. And yes, that Niner game is right around the corner, and even though the Giants are 2-5, I'm still excited to be there. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to enjoy myself. I don't give a shit what happens. Bet your ass. I don't get down there very often, so I'm going to make that.
I'm looking forward to it, too. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. All right, so let's talk about the Eagles game. The Giants obviously kicked the living piss out of these guys the first time they played them. They embarrassed them. They emasculated them. They kicked their teeth down their throat. They ran them over with the steamroller, and then they backed over with the same steamroller. I loved it. They were an oily puddle on the frickin' ground. Fuck them. I hate them. Adriana, how do we sweep the Eagles? Is it possible that we can go into Philadelphia, where we haven't won since 2013, and Matt Barkley was our quarterback, and Eagles fans are saying, well, where are the Kelly Greens? Ooh, not the Kelly Greens. Ooh, I didn't know the uniforms played. But how do we come out here with a win?
Shane Bowen, use your players. Put them in a place to succeed. Blitz Jalen Hurts, for fuck's sake. Like, he only blitzed 14% last game, and I just can't understand it. You don't have to be Wink Martindale, but you have guys who can get home. Blitz Jalen Hurts. This offensive line is not the same offensive line that won them a Super Bowl last year and who has been top 5 for the last however many years it's been. Put pressure on the offensive linemen. Their starting center, Cam Jurgens, fairly certain did not practice for the second day in a row. Yeah, neither did AJ Brown. So I know we're all worried about Deonte Banks, which put Art Green out there. The other thing, I don't want to see Tay Banks. I really don't. Like, spare all of us the trouble. I would rather see Art Green fuck it up out there than Tay Banks. It's enough. We're done with the Tay Banks experiment. I don't care if they put Corey Black out there. Literally, I don't care. Someone else out there. You cannot put Tay Banks out there if you're trying to win this football game. So I want to see Art Green. I don't care if it's a rotation. I want to see them go after Jalen Hurts. The run game is not the same this year. The offensive line is not the same. And yes, Jalen Hurts is accurate and he's a good quarterback and he's going to make some nice throws. But if he doesn't have AJ Brown out there, then you've got to decide if you're going to be able to cover Dallas Goedert or Devonta Smith. We know they're both capable of beating us, but if they don't have AJ Brown, at least it's one person out of the equation. I think the offense has done a really great job of moving the ball consistently this week. We're getting JMS back. He's been playing better football. And if he sucks or gets injured, at least we know that Austin Schlottman can step in and play well for him this week. I really want to see a two-headed monster between Scat and Tracy. Tracy, I think, is finally getting back to his normal self after that shoulder injury. I thought he looked great out there last week. I think if they could put 32 points up against that Broncos defense. It's a hell of a lot better than the Eagles. I think the Giants can go out there and score points this week. We have to worry about Jalen Carter. Quinton Mitchell's going to be back, which is different than the first time around. But I think this Giants team is proving that they are much better on offense than a lot of us thought they were going to be, especially when Malik Neighbors went down. So I think they're going to be capable of moving the ball, spread the ball around Jackson, get it in your tight end's hands, get it in the wide receiver's hands. We need Wan'Dale to step up this week. He's going to have to continue to be an asset for this football team. But I think they have to do what they did last time. They had a successful run game. They spread the ball around, got it all to their different wide receivers and tight ends. And just get after Jalen Hurts, please. I'm begging you.
Anthony, how do we do this? Do you go with the same game plan that we had last time, or do you change it up a little bit? How do we walk out of here with a sweep?
I think you have to change the game plan at least a little bit. Like Adriana mentioned, they have some players returning from injuries, so you have to account for that. And also, this Eagles team was slumping when the New York Giants faced them the first time, and now they're coming off of a big win. So they were coming off of their first loss of the season the first time the Giants played them. Now they're coming off of a big win. So you have to account for that as well, and also look at how they won and the adjustments that they made to their offense. So I think whatever you scouted, Giants won in week 6 over the Eagles, whatever you scouted on that week 5 film that helped you get the win in week 6, well, that's completely different and out of the window because the Eagles just adjusted everything so that in week 7, they could get that big win. So now you have to go ahead and watch that week 7 film. So I really think you need a whole new game plan. I'm hoping that the Giants coaching staff has something new up their sleeve. But I will say when they did beat the Eagles, a couple of things that they did are definitely transcendent week to week against the Eagles. They got after it. They sent pressure in that game. They actually did blitz on that Thursday night matchup. So blitz again, because Jalen Hurts, when he's pressured, sometimes does make mistakes. Sometimes he misses some of those throws. And whatever the Giants were doing in their run fits to slow down Saquon Barkley, do that again. So there's definitely a lot that they can translate from that week 6 matchup to this week 8 matchup, but I do think they need to adjust as well and account for the fact that the Eagles are back on the upswing. And then offensively for the New York Giants, just believe in Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. I think that's going to be the game plan, like, at a baseline for the rest of the season. You just have to hope that those two rookies keep playing well and keep putting their bodies on the line and making those plays, because that's what's given the Giants energy, and that's what's given them the ability to compete in every single game that they've had those rookies on the field in. So I believe in Jackson Dart. I don't think that the moment's too big for him. Yes, it's his first time playing in Philly. That's why I think he's going to win, because I think he's just this kind of psychopathic, I'm going to kill you quarterback that goes into the most hostile environment, shows hostile. I'll show you hostile. I think that's if that's a movie reference, if anybody got it. But that's how I think he's going to respond, and he's going to go ahead. The Dark Knight, in case you didn't know. But I think that Jackson Dart's going to be more hostile than the Philly fans, and he's going to go in there and he's going to kick them in the teeth.
Chris, how do we beat the Eagles and sweep them? Which I don't remember last time that even happened, but
2007.
In a way, I kind of feel good going into this game because I don't think we have any chance. And I didn't think we had any chance against the Chargers, and we won. And I didn't think we had any chance against the Eagles the first time, and we won. And it's probably because I'm down in the dumps after last week when they blew that ridiculous lead. And I think it's going to show a lot about the character of this team, blowing a lead like that, giving up 33 points in the fourth quarter. How do they bounce back? How do they fight for their head coach? This is a different Eagles team. First off, they're playing in Philadelphia, a place we haven't won since 1742. I can't remember the last time we've won there. And they've got their best player in defense back, Jalen Carter, who they did not have the first time we played them. The Giants dominated on both sides of the line of the scrimmage the first time that we played them this year. I don't expect that this time. That's not to say I think we're going to get manhandled, but I think it's going to be a much more even battle up at the point of attack than it was the first time around. So could the Giants win? Sure. And if they are going to win, they're going to have to do what Anthony said. They're going to have to be able to run the ball with Cam Scatterbo, and Jackson Dart's going to have to make plays, which good news for us. He's been able to do that against some of the best defenses the league has to offer without his best weapon. Now what's interesting for me about this game, just thinking about it from the Jackson Dart standpoint, this is the first time in his career where a defense has seen him for a second time. So the Eagles now have gotten a look at Jackson Dart, and we're going to see how he adjusts when they make adjustments after getting to see him the first time around on a short turnover, right? They just played us 2 weeks ago. So it'll be really interesting to see how he responds in that environment against the team that's already gotten a look at him. They know how to game plan for him. They're certainly going to make adjustments from the first time they played the New York Giants. So I'm excited to see how Dart responds. It's going to be a tough game, but we'll see how the Giants respond. We knew it was going to be a tough game going in. Had they beaten Denver, I would have felt a lot more optimistic. I would have been like, oh my God, they just 2 in a row. They went into Denver, they won. We just beat the Eagles. We'll see. We'll see how this team gets off the mat. And the other thing, the secondary's banged up. I don't know if they're definitely not playing, but to my knowledge, they haven't practiced this week. So they're likely, unless I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Adebo's going to play, it doesn't look like, and it doesn't look like Holland's going to play. So you're putting a lot of stress on that secondary. I think Giants are going to – the defense, I think, is going to struggle this week, and I hope I'm wrong. I think we'll be able to get pressure on Hurts with that front four, but I think they're going to be able to throw the ball on us. And if we're going to win, I think Dart's going to have a big game.
Yeah, defense. Is that me? Echoed there? I think the defense, I worry about the defense. Defense hasn't been good. When we went into the year, we were thinking that the defense is going to dominate. The offense could do just enough to win. It's been the complete freaking opposite. The offense, at least since Jackson Dart's been in there, seems to be the ones that carry outside of the game in New Orleans, where he turned it over 5 times. The one thing I love about Jackson Dart is he did show a lot of resolve. They had a terrible game in New Orleans. They turned it over 5 times, and he came back, and that's when they won against the Eagles on Thursday night after a short turnaround. So obviously that didn't linger. It didn't bother them whatsoever. I also love Jackson Dart on the sideline screaming, win this fucking game, which the defense didn't listen to him, obviously. But I like that mentality. I like that he's fired up like that. I like that he's in his 4th game and he's already acting like a leader. And I also like the fact when he did his post-game interview, he was like trying to hold back the tears. Like it killed him that they lost that game. And I love his attitude. He wants to win, man. That's a gamer. You can't teach that shit. This is why I am optimistic about where the Giants are going, whether they're going to do that this year or not. I just, knowing that, I believe we have the guy that's going to be our quarterback for a long time. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's one of them ones and he's an elite guy by any stretch of imagination. I don't know that he'll ever be that guy, but I do know that he's an NFL level quarterback, and he can definitely make plays with his legs, with his arms, whatever. He is great. We talk about all the time his pocket awareness and the presence and the ability to slide around in the pocket and extend plays. He just does a really good job for such a young player. He's already a leader, and I love that about him. And so I said I'm going to end up getting a Jackson Dart jersey. I know I am, because I just love his attitude. You know, I love Cam. I mean, Cam's my guy because Cam's just going to eat crayons, sniff glue, and run his head through a cement mix. I don't care. I love that guy. He's fucking crazy, and I love
the nickname last night. You see that?
Yes, I did, and he got a good ovation, and he deserves it. I mean, but you know, Jackson Dart, Cam looks like the guy that's going to run through. Jackson Dart really don't look like that guy, but he is that guy inside. So, in order to win this game, we obviously can't turn the ball over. That's huge. We have to take care of the football. We're going to have to force some turnovers one way or the other. We haven't won in Philadelphia in a long time. And obviously they haven't forgotten what we did to them. And you know that they're going to want some revenge without question. But I think if the Giants can win up front, and again, it's a big if, I think they definitely can win this game. But you got to be able to run the football against Philadelphia. You don't want to become one-dimensional against them. So we have to run the ball. We ran it very effectively the first time, came in 98 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jackson Dart also had a couple of really nice runs, obviously the touchdown run to start the game. And as you mentioned, Adriana, Tyron Tracy looks like he's starting to get his stride back again after dealing with that shoulder injury. Guys got to make plays, though. We can't have drops in this game. We can't have that type of shit. We can't have stupid penalties. Can't have 3 delay games. We can't do dumb shit. We can't beat ourselves. We don't do that, man. I still think we can beat Philadelphia. I know they had a good game last week. I'm not sold on them. I don't think they're that great. I don't think they're better than us, but I don't think they're that much better than us. But yeah, if we don't have a Debo and Holland, I'm not gonna lie. So that's pretty concerning because you saw what happened when they went off the field against Denver. Yeah. But it is what it is. The thing that sucks, and this is how you know the Giants are pretty decent. It hurts that they lost those games the way they did. If we would have just held on in Dallas and at Denver, this game would be for first place right now. And that's what I say. That's why I always say the Giants are like that close. They're literally that close. They're literally like 8 seconds away from this game being first place. It's so stupid. I don't want to rehash it because I'm going to go off on fucking Bowen. Did I ever mention how much I hate Philadelphia? Anybody? Did I ever fucking hate them. Let's kick their ass.
Please.
We lost in Denver, obviously. That sucks. With 3-4, it'd be totally different. Now that we're 2-5, the trade rumors seem to have kind of simmered down. Anthony, do you think that the Giants will make a trade? I mean, we don't even need to be buyers at this point either. We may be sellers. Do you think the Giants make a trade of any sort?
I think they should. I think that they should be buyers and sellers. I think they should try and sell off Evan Neal, get something for him before he walks in free agency. Maybe even try and get something for Deonte Banks if you can, since that relationship is clearly fractured, and I don't see that getting mended at any point. So I think you can look to sell a couple of those players, especially since you are 2-5. But the deadline's still not for another 2 weeks. If the Giants end up winning in Philadelphia, then you can be buyers. Then you go out there and you say, okay, let's get Jackson Dart, a playmaker. I think just the one caveat to being a buyer at the deadline, it's got to be somebody who's here long term. You can't bring in some sort of a rental. For example, Jacoby Myers with the Las Vegas Raiders. He wants an extension. If you trade for him, there's no guarantee he's here in 2026 because he is a free agent. So if you're going to trade for him, I don't really see the full point of it. I want somebody who's definitely around long term. And obviously there's guys like Waddle, there's guys like Olave, and they're going to be high priced guys to get on the market if they're even actually available. Of course, everything is just a rumor. But if you're going to bring in somebody, you should bring in somebody who can grow with Jackson Dart this year and then be unleashed with Jackson Dart next year. So that should be, in my opinion, the mindset at the deadline. And I do think that they should try to make a trade for a playmaker just because this offense has some talent and it's good right now. And it's not the reason that the Giants are losing these games, that's for sure. But I do question the long-term sustainability. I think we've seen a lot of moments where rookie quarterbacks do come in early in their career and they find some success. And sometimes it has to do with kind of what Chris was saying. Teams don't have film on Jackson Dart right now. They're compiling that film right now. Philadelphia's actually faced him once. Let's see how he responds to that. But they don't have this film. So sometimes you do see these young quarterbacks get off to a pretty hot start early, and then they have their ebbs and their flows. They go through their rookie growing pains as these teams that they're facing get a little bit more film. To counteract that, I think you should give them some more guys who can bail them out, give them some more playmaking talent. Because Wan'Dale Robinson, good player, he's going to get paid this offseason. He's the Giants' WR1 right now. We talked about him as WR3 going into this season.
Anthony, he's the WR only right now. There
Literally.
Receiver record a pass this week.
That's absolutely right. So they got to do something. Bringing in Ray McLeod to boost your practice squad doesn't do much. Getting Darius Slayton back from injury also, in my opinion, does not do much. So I would like to see the Giants bring in somebody that can help Jackson Dart develop and grow, make some of these tough times a little bit easier, especially in the clutch. He was just throwing up prayers in that whole final drive. He got the DPI, got the Giants down to the 1, heroics to get into the end zone, but he was throwing up prayers on that final drive. And if he had a better playmaker, perhaps one of those prayers gets answered and he comes down with it. That's the situation where you really miss Malik Neighbors, is in those dying embers of that game where he can make the play for the quarterback. So I think they should try and bring in somebody. So I would be a buyer at the deadline if I were Joe Schoen. But again, like I said, there's some guys who you should try and offload this roster. They can be buyers and sellers. And Schoen is an aggressive trader. I think he's going to get at least one deal done.
Chris, what do you think? You think the Giants going to make any moves here before the trade deadline?
Well, first off, I completely agree with Anthony's point about Evan Neal. If we can get a couple of bottles of water for him, because the team looked very dehydrated this past week, the Giants should probably do it. We wore down in the fourth quarter. I don't even think you'd get a 7th-round pick for him. But if you get a couple of Poland Springs for Evan Neal, it's probably worth the trade at this point. We saw how bad the defense wore down in the fourth quarter. But all kidding aside, I agree with you.
You were kidding? I thought you were being serious.
I was being serious. But to Anthony's point about the wide receiver, I agree with what he was getting at there. For me, I don't think you go in the middle there. I think you either get a guy that you feel could be a bit like Jalen Waddle, like we've talked about, if he becomes available. There's been rumors. We'll see. I mean, the Dolphins have been horrible this year. Maybe they do look to unload him. But I don't want anybody in the middle. I think you either do similar to what we did in 2022, and like they've kind of done already now with McLeod. But when we brought in a guy like an Isaiah Hodgins on the cheap, waiver wire acquisition, I don't want to be trading draft capital for a 1-year rental. As far as whether or not the New York Giants should be sellers, at least on the offensive end, I see no reason to be sellers for the New York Giants because you're trying to grow a rookie quarterback. You don't want to start to sell pieces from that offense. You want Jackson Dart to get better throughout the course of this year, have something to build on going into next year. And I'd be stunned if Joe Schoen did that because we all know that that's their best chance to come back, both Dable and Schoen this year, is if Dart continues to play well. So I don't expect the Giants to sell any pieces on the offense, even a guy like Jalen Hyatt included, because we're so thin at that wide receiver position right now. On defense, I suppose, maybe, but again, we're kind of thin there, right? Anthony brought up Deonte Banks. I know we all are done with Deonte Banks at this point. Paulson Adebo's hurt. So I really don't foresee the Giants being much sellers at this point because they're trying to grow Jackson Dart in his rookie year. And I think they would be buyers, but only for the right circumstance. A guy like Jalen Waddle would be that circumstance. But other than that, I don't see the Giants making any drastic moves one way or the other at the deadline.
Yeah.
Adriana, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Chris. I actually would be surprised if they end up doing something. It seems like I don't know if they're hesitant to make moves or it's just because since they've been here for the last 3 years, we've been sucking by the time the trade deadline comes around. So there's no reason to bring anyone in. I think if they do, like Anthony said, you have to bring in someone who's going to be here for at least a few years. I mean, you have a quarterback on a rookie contract. You have to take advantage of that. And especially if it's a wide receiver or a corner, like we need help in those positions. Those would be the only two that I would be targeting in some sort of trade. And, you know, if I think there's a possibility we could maybe get something for Deonte Banks. If we look at how many players leave the Giants and they go elsewhere and they're successful, maybe Tay Banks is one of those people who just, it's not going to work for him here for whatever reason it is. Maybe there's 15 different reasons and the coaching is just one of them. But maybe a defensive coordinator or someone sees the natural talent that he has and figures maybe he just needs a change of scenery and a new scheme and we can get the best out of him. That would be the best case scenario. Now I would take anything for Tay Banks at this point because I just think he's not turning it around at this rate, and trotting him out there with Paulson Adebo out is just an insane decision among many that this front office has done. So I guess we shouldn't be that surprised that that's probably what they're going to do. But I think if they're going to do anything, if I were them, I would actually focus on re-signing people right now. Forget about trading. I mean, this team, I think, has proven at this point that they're a good football team and we're wasting another year, but that's the reality of it. We can't win close games 7 weeks into the season. I mean, if they realistically turn it around, maybe we have a chance at the division, but I don't know. It just seems so far-fetched right now when we lose games in insane fashions every time. Like, we're not losing by 1 point on a last-minute field goal. The ways that we have lost between the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Broncos, it's just creative ways to lose. So, I don't know. I would be focusing on keeping the talent in-house because that's what we need. I would be re-signing Jermaine Illuminor yesterday, and I would be doing the same thing with Cordell Flott, and I would think about doing it with Micah McFadden. And I know he's dealing with an injury right now. Maybe they can get him at a discounted rate because of that. But you got to bring back the guys who have made plays and who are focal points moving forward. And all three of those guys are key pieces to that roster, and we need them. We don't have 15 draft picks next year. We don't have $100 million in cap space. So I'd rather see them do something like that. And, you know, maybe trade for a corner if they can figure out how to do that.
I completely agree. And I think you will see them at least open up discussions during the bye week. If you remember during the 2022 season, that's when they talked to Barkley about the contract, to Julian Love about the contract during the bye week, because they have 2 weeks to discuss. You look, like you said, Adriana, you look at all the names on this team. Jermaine Illuminor is a free agent. Kayvon Thibodeau's a free agent. Wan'Dale Robinson's a free agent. Cordell Flott, who's been really good in a thin secondary. So they have a lot of guys that I think they have a lot of guys that I think they have to at least start those negotiations in the season. And Illuminor and Kayvon, for me, are the two most important guys to bring back here, along with Cordell Flott.
Yeah. Kayvon, we still have the 5th-year option, but if they were smart, I think they'd try to get on top of that now, because if he continues to have a really good year. One of the beat writers asked Illuminor if their camp has been contacted by the Giants about extending, and he said not yet, and he's just focused on playing football. But maybe that's why, like you brought up, Chris, they're waiting until the bye week.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I feel like if we would have won those 2 games that we should have, you probably aren't looking to make a trade. But at 2-5, it just... That's the thing. And I mean, we've discussed Jalen Waddle a lot. To Anthony's point, he wouldn't cost barely anything this year, and he's only $11 million next year, and he's got a 4-year contract. And again, it's not just for this year. I mean, you're looking at, your future quarterback, and I can't imagine having a guy like Waddle to go with Neighbors. It'd be sick. if they could ever figure that out. But Adrian, you make a good point too. The Giants do have a lot of guys that are coming up on, they're on contract years, and Flott's been fantastic. And, maybe Thibodeau don't have 10 sacks, but I mean, he's played, this is probably the most consistent he's played all year. I know he had 12 sacks one year, but he was kind of hit or miss. I feel like he's had a better year.
He's played really well this year.
Yeah, he's consistent.
He might not show up in the sack total, but I feel like he's got to learn to, keep contained though, man. That JPP used to be the same way, man. He would lose contain on those outside runs. It used to drive me crazy. He's got to get better at that.
I'm going to tell you what, Baddog, I actually think that's the thing that he's gotten the most improved at.
He's improved, but he still needs work. Like he's got to shore that up. They got outside of him a couple times.
Yeah.
In Denver. I hate Shane Bowen. I can't stand Shane Bowen. I just this defense is way too freaking talented to be giving up 33 points in a quarter. I don't even know how the hell that happens. I don't even know how the hell how do you shut a team out for 3 quarters and Bo Nix has 61 yards passing, and then
because Shane Bowen thought it was smarter to rely on his secondary when he's missing his 2 best members of the secondary due to injury, then rely on the strength of the defense to close out the game. That's
why are you changing? Why do they change? I hate that fucking prevent. You prevented them from scoring all game. So why are you changing? What the fuck, man? It's just so stupid. I can't stand this shit. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not a coach. But God almighty, I have common sense. Hey, we shut these guys out with the record. Hey, they can't move the ball. Hey, we're fucking them up. I got a good idea. Let's stop putting pressure on them. Let's just play really soft and not even bother and let them run all over the field. And then let's not tackle. And then let's drop 8 and keep 2 of our best players off. Let's not put our best defensive player out there in Dexter Lawrence. Let's not do that. We don't want to do that. And let's keep Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau. Let's not bring any of them out there. Let's drop 8, and then let's have a guy run 30 yards out of field. He gets there. Hey, I'm wide open. Oh, okay, there you go. Let's do that. Fucking idiot. Yeah, I just so stupid. That game really fucking this close. This close. And that brings me to the next one. We are close. I mean, this team's got a future. How soon can they start winning these games, Chris?
Well, I mean, they have won some of them against teams that I didn't think they could. They've beaten some good teams.
But like winning on a consistent basis.
Win 2 in a row for the first time.
Yeah.
I think this team is still going to win 6 games, maybe. I think Dart's just playing too well. The defense, as bad as they were in the fourth quarter, they shut out their opponents for 6 consecutive quarters between the Eagle game or almost 6 consecutive quarters between the Eagle game and the Broncos. So the defense has certainly improved a lot over the last couple weeks outside of that fourth quarter, which was abysmal. I think the defense is showing signs of getting a lot better. I think they're going to find a way to win 6 games this year. Now, how close are they to being where we want them to be as fans going into the year, feeling that they're a true threat to be a playoff team and maybe a team that could advance from within the playoffs? It could be as soon as next year. It's the NFL. Look at the Indianapolis Colts, who thought they would be doing what they're doing this year. If Jackson Dart continues to improve, continues to get better, you get Neighbors back next year. That's the other thing I meant to bring up when we were bringing up Jalen Waddle. Even more of a reason why, and it may not have to happen this year. It may have to happen in the offseason. But even more of a reason why Joe Shane has to get a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in before the start of next year. Malik Neighbors ain't going to start the season next year. And if he is, he's not going to be himself. He hasn't even underwent the ACL surgery yet. They have got to find a way. If it's not Waddle, it's got to be somebody else. They got to get a legitimate receiver for this team next year. But I have hope for next year because of the way that Dart has played and the way that the offensive line has looked. If you keep Illuminor here, the Giants tackles, they're the best group of tackles we've had since our Super Bowl years. I mean, they've been great, and JMS has gotten better. So I think there's reasons to hope and think that this team is certainly moving in the right direction. We know that what they are now, they're a team with a rookie quarterback that has a really challenging schedule. But next year, if they're healthy, I see no reason why this team can't make the playoffs. They have a much softer schedule next year, at least the way it looks right now as well. And I would expect Dart, if Dable's back, we'll see if that happens. But playing in the same offense with more help should only look even better next year. So if you're talking about a playoff team, I don't think it's crazy to think at all the New York Giants could be a playoff threat and maybe even a team that could win a game in the playoffs next year.
Adrian, how close are we to being that team that Chris just said.
Real close. I agree that 2026, I think we can really be competitive and be able to go for a playoff run. The thing that's so frustrating to me about this year is that I know we all went into this year being like, we have a tough schedule. We don't know what Russ is going to look like. We go 0-3, whatever. And we've talked about this, that like you have to change your expectations based on how the season goes, because it really is a week-to-week league. And you beat the Chargers and beat the Eagles. And it's like, there's no reason why you shouldn't have hope moving forward. And then, the Broncos game happens, but you look at the Commanders and what they did last year. And after, as Giants fans, you beat teams like the Chargers and the Eagles. It's like, well, we have a quarterback, right? That's all we've talked about for so long, is when we get the quarterback and he plays well, that's it. It's going to elevate the team and we're going to win. And we saw that for 2 out of 4 weeks. So I think we're getting there. We're going to see that more consistently next week. But it is frustrating to feel like maybe this year could have gone differently if we beat the Cowboys, if we're 3-4 at this point. Again, then we're talking about beating the Eagles, and we're right there in the division. We could be talking about winning the division on Monday. Like we could be that much closer. So it's frustrating. And I was thinking about Dart and Scat too, when you were saying before that in the post game, Dart was holding back tears and Brian Burns was devastated, sobbing in his locker. Right. And these guys, Burns is kind of used to losing and whatever. And I'm sure a lot of the defensive players feel like we have a quarterback. Look at what the offense did. Like, we need to get our shit together. But I just felt for Dart and Scat, because I'm like, this is it, guys. Like, this. Welcome to the shit show. You guys are working your asses off. You're playing your best football and overall making smart decisions. Yes, they've made mistakes. Some of them have been colossal game losers like the Saints, but I feel for them. I'm like, these guys want nothing more. And I felt the same way about Malik Neighbors and Burns. Like, they want nothing more to win. And they come here and they play well and they still can't win. And this is for me when I'm really like, you can't keep the coaches, because you can't look at this team and say it's 100% on the players. Sure, part of it is it wasn't the coordinator who was on the field giving up 33 points, but he's a massive part of it. The coaching is all a part of it. When you lose in these insane ways every week, like, again, we're not losing by 1 point on a last minute field goal by fucking Brandon Aubrey every single time. So it's just so frustrating.
Anthony, how close are we to being a playoff team, to being a winning team? How close is this?
I don't think we're that far off, because we're in these games. We're, like you said earlier, Bad Dog, we're 8 seconds away from having a winning record. I think that's what you said. I mean, the Giants have been right there. It's just a matter of a couple of plays. Now, okay, so there's 2 ways to look at it. It's either they're not that far off because they do have a talented roster that can compete with these great teams, or they're really far off because they clearly don't have a talented coaching staff that can compete with these teams. So they probably need to overhaul all of that, and that makes you, of course, pretty far away from being a winning or a playoff team. But I don't know. I think they've got talent defensively. That defensive line is stacked. I mean, Brian Burns is playing at an all-pro level. Dexter Lawrence is a former second-team all-pro. Abdul Carter has tremendous potential, and I think we're seeing flashes of it. And even Kayvon Thibodeau looks great. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they have their quarterback. I had belief that they had their quarterback when they drafted him in April. I have more belief that they have their quarterback even now. So they can't be that far off like they were 2 seasons ago in 2023, when both sides of the ball were a mess and they were starting Tommy DeVito for 5 of those games. That was a long ways off from being a winning team. But when you have your quarterback, you're not that far off. And I do feel like the Giants have their quarterback. And I also think some of these losses that they've had, well, it's growing pains. It's part of the ups and downs of having a rookie quarterback in there. Like, for example, asking him to throw there on 3rd and 5. I don't think they should have asked him to throw there on 3rd and 5, but he also did throw the pick. So you have to understand that when you're a young football team, because it's not just the quarterback, a young football team is going to have its ups and downs. The secondary as well. Drew Phillips is in his 2nd year. He's the one who got turned around and let that big reception up on the prevent defense play. He's a 2nd-year cornerback. That's probably why that happened. He's not fully experienced. It's just a very young football team. But as they gain this experience throughout the course of the rest of the season, I think they'll pick up another couple of wins. And I think the schedule is easing up in some ways. The start of it was really tough. They had divisional games back to back to start the year. They had another divisional game by week 6, and they played pretty much all playoff teams other than the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, they're still going to be facing some playoff teams, but they have the Vikings later in the year. The Vikings aren't the same team that they were last year. They have the Raiders at the end of the year. That's a winnable game as well. I think that they can beat the Commanders. The Commanders are kind of unraveling as the season goes on. The 49ers, like we said, are banged up. They're a really good football team, but they're banged up. The Cowboys, I think, are also beatable, although they seem like a team on the upswing. I was going to say the Bears. So they might not be that far off from picking up some of these wins that you're talking about very soon. In fact, even later on the season, the question will be, if they start to pick up those wins, is it going to be too little, too late, since they started out 0-5, which I fear it will be. And then it's going to feel like that end of season when Joe Judge, when they started to make that comeback to try and get into playoffs at the end, and then the whole Eagles tank thing, that controversy, that's what I feel like this season is going to culminate in. They're going to start to get close. They're going to be right on the doorstep, but obviously they're not going to get there because they screwed themselves out of a postseason spot with their poor play in the beginning of the season. But just to wrap it up, I think they're close. I think they've got a quarterback, and when you've got a quarterback, you can't be that far off from being a winning team, in my opinion.
I also think they're very close. And I just look at, like I said, we keep talking about the quarterback, and why not? He put up 10 touchdowns against the Eagles and at Denver, against the number 2 defense in the league. And I know the Eagles defense isn't what it was, but still it's pretty formidable. I mean, they are defending champions. When you put up 10 touchdowns and you don't have wide receiver 1 or 2, and you're a rookie quarterback, I think that's pretty impressive. It's not Jackson Dart's fault that, our kicker can't make kicks. I don't know. Yeah, he threw the interception and that wasn't good. And you learned from that, but he also drove us down to what was going to be the game-winning touchdown. However, he got there. Denver fans can bitch about the pass interference, and technically it was. I didn't like the call. I know he got a huge break there, but he did convert on 4th down and 19. And that was a hell of a play by him to convert on that. So, that obviously we got the pass interference. That was a big thing. Regardless, we went in and we scored. That should have been it. Should have been over. The fact that he's shown such great resolve to me, and it seems like he has a short memory of bad plays, I really like that about him. I just feel like his mind is really good. Where I usually would say, I don't think Daniel Jones, I always felt like he was kind of congested up here and he didn't have a lot of confidence. And not that because he wasn't as flashy as Jackson Dart, it just felt like a lot of times he would get down on himself and he wouldn't play well, where I don't feel like Jackson Dart, he makes a mistake and it's like, okay, whatever, I'm going to get him this time. That's kind of his attitude. I like that about him. The one thing I worry about, Anthony, you mentioned the coaches, the fact we're a very young team. I feel like when you're a really young team, you need really good coaching to develop these guys. They obviously have a world of talent, but you still need to be coached up and you still need to learn the ins and outs of the NFL, and you still have to learn intricacies that go into this. It's a much more complex game than it is in college. It's a much faster game than it is in college. These coaches got to put these guys in the proper positions to succeed and work around their strengths. And if you got shitty coaches, we talked about this on Tuesday, Jackson Dart's going to be a good quarterback, whether Daboll's there or not, because he's talented. So why wouldn't you try to get him a better coach? Why wouldn't you try to get these players better coaches? So, yeah, you can look back at what happened to Jones and Shermer, but Jones was never going to be that guy here. And you, Anthony, you said it perfectly. It's not because they got rid of Shermer. It's because they hired another bad coach. That's what happened. Because look at Jones now. He don't have a bad coach. And what's he doing? He's probably leading. He's one of the MVP candidates, for Christ's sakes. So, yeah, I think we're very close. The talent is definitely getting there. I think Shane's done a very good job the last 2 years in acquiring talent. Obviously, you'll have another draft this year. Maybe they draft a wide receiver this year. But, they still have some work to do. But I think that they are really close, and that's what makes those losses even more frustrating. But I do feel like the Giants are close. And I do think that there's very interesting thing. Not that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I do want to put this out there because I think it's very interesting. Miss an extra point, make an extra point. Miss a 2-point conversion, make an extra point, miss an extra point, right? That's how it went. We're up 19-0 going into the fourth quarter. We're up 26-8. Demaryius Thomas's parents are on the screen. There's the whole thing about Demaryius Thomas and all this stuff. And wouldn't it be great? Can you imagine if Denver made the comeback, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Denver gets the ball with 33 seconds to go. Denver scores 33 points in the fourth quarter. Denver wins 33-32. How old was Demaryius Thomas when he passed away? Oh, he's 33.
Oh, God.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird how the Giants missed an extra point, made an extra point, then went for 2, then made an extra point and missed one? Isn't that weird how the pass interference kind of got thrown out there? It's almost like they're like, you got to score a touchdown. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? When you go to play roulette, put it on black 33. It's my favorite number anyway. It's 30. It is, but I just thought that was amusing. Anyway, not that I'm a conspiracy theorist.
That to me, when
That
I
was weird. I'm sorry. That was weird.
Now you're bringing me back to the game and the decision making by Dable, and it made. The more I think about that game, and I don't want to think about it, but Adriana's rant couldn't help me. May go back.
I had to let her express. I knew she wanted to get that out.
Dable's decision to go for 2, down up 19-0.
Called it when we did the game too.
In hindsight, makes no sense because at that point you could say, okay, he's got no faith in his kicker. He missed an extra point, but that wasn't true because you allowed him to attempt the extra point at the end of the game when it was that much more vital. So Dable was chasing points at 19-0 that was such a horrible decision by Brian Dable. There were several other horrible decisions throughout the game, but you just got me thinking when you're going over the points.
Made no sense.
Made no
He
sense.
claims it was the analytics. He said in the post game on his chart, it said to go for it. And at first he said, we decided to go for it. And then he was like, it was my decision. I decided to go for it. And I'm like, who are you trying to scapegoat there? But my conspiracy theory is that Dable is keeping Bowen on board so that if Dark continues to play well, so that at the end of the season, when he has to plead his case for a job, he can blame it on Bowen.
You hit it on
another body for the bus.
I posted it on Twitter too. I have the same exact mindset because if you're thinking about it from the mindset of Shane and Dable, you need to point the finger somewhere.
Right.
I don't think it benefits them to fire Bowen in season because if you fire Bowen in season and the defense still struggles, well then
then what?
Who takes the fall? So I agree with you. I don't think they're going to fire Bowen in season for that reason mainly.
Because Dable can say, well, look at Jackson Dart. Look at what the quarterback did. That's because of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if they fire Bowen and the defense gets better, though? I mean, then they
That's
really
fair.
have a chance to save their job. So, and they have another capable defensive coordinator on their coaching staff, Marquand Manuel. He's the defensive backs coach / passing game coordinator. He used to call plays for the Atlanta Falcons defense in 2019. So they have a guy ready and willing and able. They just have to actually make the decision. So
I don't think he could be worse, Anthony.
Can't be worse.
Right.
I think this is the worst coached defense in the NFL relative to its talent. I mean, when you look at the talent, we all said this is an idiot-proof defensive line. Clearly not, because we have an idiot. I'll take the blame. I'm the one who said it was an idiot-proof defensive line. Clearly, it wasn't idiot-proof. But we thought it was going to be top 10, top 15 at the worst. They rank like 28th in every category. That's unacceptable.
And the crazy thing is, though, for those 6 quarters, you were like, finally, we're the defense that we envisioned.
Yeah.
They finally hit their stride. The second half of that Eagles game in the first 3 quarters last week, and then same thing. We relived the Cowboys game all over again.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of the first. That was a long first portion of Giants Collective as we had to rehash a lot of crap. We're frustrated over here. Nothing spells frustration like beating the Eagles. So let's get that done. But shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring the first part of Giants Collective again. Make sure you click the link in the description. Enter that promo code Giants Collective 10 to get 10% off your tickets. Let's hear from SeatGeek. 80 seconds. Back after this. What's going on, guys and gals? You looking for a fun activity? You want to get out of the house? You need something to do? Are you looking for a great gift idea? Well, if so, look no farther than the sponsor of Giants Collective, which is SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Giants season is underway. And say you want to check out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's easy. Just go to SeatGeek, scroll around, look for the tickets that you want, and SeatGeek's going to have your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. That's good. The red dots, well, it's not so good. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use the code Giants Collective for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Giants Collective. Make sure you click that link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective, and let's go Giants! Please, let's go and whoop some Eagle ass. I want to give a big shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the Q&A portion of Giants Collective, as they always do. Make sure you take advantage of this great promotion by Sleeper. Not only is it the fastest growing app out there with almost 11 million users, daily fantasy contests, you can do it within 30 seconds, dollar minimum entries, anything going up to 1,000 times your cash. Click the link in the description. Enter the promo code HMA. You get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100 in your first deposit. But even better than that, and this is really cool, you get a free trial with Sleeper. Just use our code down there. Click that link in the description. Open a Sleeper account. You get $20 to play with. No deposit required. That means you get $20. Check it out. See if you enjoy it. Test your sports knowledge. I'm sure you will. It's a lot of fun to use. And if you do like it and want to make a deposit, you're still eligible for that 100% match deposit bonus. Check out Sleeper. Make sure you use that promo code HMA. Let's get to your questions. Our friend Dr. Garrett.
Dr. Garrett.
Is your biggest fear that these two rookies play just well enough to keep these idiots in charge for another year? Love the show, guys. We love Dr. Garrett. We love Dr. Garrett. What do you think?
That is my biggest fear.
Yes.
I think that is my biggest fear because I really think that this coaching staff is what's holding this team back. I'm fully convinced, especially after that Denver loss. So, listen, Scatterboo is really good. Dart is really good, and they're good enough probably to save some jobs in a certain situation. But I don't want to see that happen. I just think Dart would be so much better with a better coach who could actually close out these games with him. So, yeah, that's my biggest fear.
They should save Shane's job, and that's it. That's the way I look at it, honestly.
I
know you're not a big Shane fan, but I listen, man. Scatterboo is Shane.
I think Shane's gonna stay, Bad Dog. I side with you. I think he's gonna stay, but Dable might not.
Go ahead.
I thought you meant Shane Bowen. I thought you were making a joke.
No Shane. No Shane.
That's why I laughed. I was like, yeah, right. Save his job.
No Shane. That Shane, like I said, Shane Bowen should have been. They should have left him in the tarmac in Denver. He shouldn't have even got on the damn plane after that.
Did you guys see the video of him on the sidelines during the Eagles game? I had secondhand embarrassment so bad that I actually felt bad for him.
Oh,
and I was like, I still want this guy fired. The way that the play, for those of you who haven't seen it, during the Eagles game, there's like a couple clips of Bowen on the sideline. So one of them is after Cordell Flott scores the touchdown or the interception. He gives him a big hug and he's like, seems fine for a second. And then there's another shot where there's like players sitting on the bench and Bowen seems like he's talking to them and they're not listening to him. They're talking to each other. Yeah, it was so awkward.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I'm like, yeah, they don't even pay attention to him because they know he sucks.
Yeah.
So,
and I give Burns a lot of credit for, covering his tracks or whatever. Like he said what he had to say about trying to defend the outburst after the game. And I'm like, listen, bro, we're all on your side here. Don't worry about us. But, I think if you're Dable, how do you go back into the building on Monday after that game and sit down your defensive players and say, he's not stupid. He knows that Burns was upset about that. He was sobbing at his goddamn locker and all the players were upset by it. And Dexter was obviously upset he wasn't on the field.
Yeah.
So I just don't get, what are you saying to your players at that point to sell them on Bowen and say, listen, I know we're taking on the Eagles this week. I know some of Bowen's calls have been the reasons why we lost games, but it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening there. I think maybe the players are a lot more forgiving than we are, but if I had to deal with him every day and go into practice and already had to have a conversation with the coordinator and be like, be aggressive. And then the head coach has to tell you to be aggressive and you're still not fucking doing it.
Yeah, it would have been one thing if we lost. It would have been one thing losing the Dallas game like that, which was terrible in itself anyway. But then to do the same shit and to lose the same way with about the same amount of time in a clock just doesn't make sense.
No one learns their lessons around here. They do the same shit over and over again.
That's why.
And this is why I'm going to be so mad about the kicker thing on Sunday. Like, that's a fireable offense to me. If you go into this game with 38-year-old Graham Gano coming off an injury, who injures himself in fucking warmups, you can't go into this game without Koo. And I know it's absurd to have 2 kickers on your roster. I don't give a fuck. It is one game that we are talking about. And at some point you have to be like, hey, we can't make the same mistake over and over again. It's why we lose football games. And maybe, just maybe, we want to win if we want to be here for more than the end of this year. And I agree with Baddog that I think Joe Schoen has done, in the last 2 years specifically, I think he's done a relatively good job as GM. In the draft, in free agency, I like the Burns trade. Like, there are some things that I like that he did, but the roster mismanagement that has gone on for 4 years is unacceptable to me. And that would be the biggest thing, especially with this whole kicker situation, that come January, you just can't overlook all of that stuff.
Yeah. They'll probably draft the kicker at some point this year. I bet you that happens.
I hope so.
At least
they
could have cut Gano and saved like what, $6 million? Like, he was like the biggest savings if they cut somebody, which is crazy. It was crazy. I'm pretty sure he was like a biggest. What's that?
They still can cut him and save money technically.
Why the hell don't we cut him? What the hell? It's the difference.
He's our starting kicker now.
Yeah, for now. Did you see him and Koo messing around? I put it on Twitter. I said, oh my God, take it easy. Like, Koo touched his shoulder. I'm like, now Gano's got a shoulder issue because he got touched. I got to throw the guy in bubble wrap, for Christ's sakes. Jason Danger says, just play Banks. Stock is so low, in my opinion. This is his last year to prove we don't trade you. He needs to relax, just play loose. We need him now. It's not going to happen. His mindset is shot to shit. He doesn't try. He doesn't give no effort. He doesn't give a fuck. And it's obvious. And he's a great example of, you can be as talented as you want because he's very talented. But if you don't put in the work, man, you ain't succeeding at that level. Everybody at this level is talented. And the guys that work the hardest are the guys that succeed. He don't care. He don't care. He's done. He's so done. He has a bad attitude. It's what it is.
Yeah. I think he also doesn't know what he's doing. Like, I don't know why. To me, it seems like when I was watching some of the defensive film, I'm like, why is he going to the inside when he's supposed to be going to the outside? Like, he's not in the right place that he's supposed to be in.
Yeah, I can't read the playbook. I mean, he can't read anyway.
I would agree. I would agree with playing him because there's nothing to lose on him if the season didn't feel like it was still in grasp. Yeah, but like, just responding to the super chat, saying he's got nothing to lose. It's the final year on his contract. It's not even the final year on his contract anyway. He's in year 3. He's got one more year, but plus a 5th-year option, which isn't going to get picked up. But I would agree with it if the Giants season wasn't in reach. Like, they're 2-5. If they win on Sunday, they'll be 3-5. They'll be only 2 games back from first place. But if we were 0-6 or 0-7 or whatever, yeah, put all those guys out there and see if they can turn the season around or turn their careers around, whatever. But with the Giants still competitive, put the best guys on the field. Don't put other guys get the minutes.
Yeah. I only think you have to play Banks this week because I don't think Adebo's going to play. But when Adebo's healthy, Banks should not see the field, period. Cordell Flott's played way too good, and Adebo's clearly much better than Deonte Banks. But this week, I don't think they have much of a choice but to put Banks out there.
As you talking about playing Art Green, I'd rather see Al Green out there, for Christ's sakes. I mean, people that are old enough to remember Al Green, you know what I'm talking about. Put Joe Green out there, crying out loud. I don't care, man. JC, then I'd rather draft the receiver and possibly trade for a corner, get rid of Banks. This year will be about developing dart, draft hot receivers next year. Yeah, that's why I'm saying no matter what the Giants do, I'm just looking at the development of guys like Abdul Carter, Jackson, or Cam Scatterbo. They're obviously the future. So
yeah. I think we could use another corner with proven talent too. They've drafted 3 corners, and Cordell Flott is the only one who's good, and it's taken him until year 4 to get there. Or they've drafted 3 corners in the first, I don't know, couple rounds. But they I don't know. They've drafted a lot of corners, and
they've taken Drew Phillips. They've taken Cordell Flott, Deonte
Phillips, Banks, Flott, Corey
Hawkins. He was a 6th-round pick, but Trey Hawkins was another.
Trey Hawkins.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd rather get an experienced corner. I'd probably rather get an experienced wide receiver as well, if I'm being honest. If there's a trade available, I think I'd want both. and still be open to drafting one in the first round too. Just draft best available player. But I think they need experienced players at those positions next year, especially like I said. I don't think Neighbors is going to be himself next year, probably for the majority of the year next year. So you need to get Dart as much help as you can.
It's very weird to go into a year because it seems like we've been doing this for 6 years, 5 years, where we're looking at the draft and looking who's available. But I'm not doing it. It's not because I feel like we're going to end up being 7-10, which I think the Giants could definitely reach 7-10. But you have your quarterback, and now it's just get your best player available. Like the whole tank for this guy, tank for that guy was always for a quarterback. So now, no matter where the hell you're picking, if you're picking 11th, it's not like you're going to lose out on a quarterback because you're picking 11th and not third. So it's way different now. Chris, you might have been in the same age as Anthony. I forgot, but when you have a quarterback, it's easier to build around. You got your main piece. And now it's kind of like the roots of a tree, and you got your strong foundation. Now you got to build off of it. So I love Jackson Dart. I don't care what the haters say. Fuck the haters. Harry, thank you. He says, do you think the Colts versus Giants next year will be a primetime game? I absolutely do.
Yes.
Also,
after they win the Super Bowl, for sure.
Yeah. I hope Daniel Jones does win the Super Bowl because then I can ask you fans, is he elite now? Because he won a Super Bowl. Because I said that for years on that Super Friends channel. If Daniel Jones was on the Eagles, he would take that team to the Super Bowl. Without question.
Well, he's basically showing you that he could this year. I mean,
yeah, those Eagles do the Colts have a better roster in Philly offensively?
No, they do not.
I think Jonathan Taylor's better than Saquon. I mean, that I'll give him, but
not last year. He's not better than last year.
No. But I'm saying this year he is.
Yeah.
But like Tyler Warren's a beast. Dallas Goedert's really good, but I don't think the Colts receivers.
The Colts don't have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
So Daniel Jones playing an MVP level. It's amazing how that works.
And the Eagles had a better defense too than the Colts have.
Yeah. Henry says, "Do you think that?" Oh, I did that already. So I celebrated too early, got drunk, and smoked. Hey, Chris, I'll tell you, I was never comfortable in that game. Never.
No, you can't be.
Never. When Tracy ran for the touchdown, that was probably the most relaxed I was. I figured, okay, the defense gave up that touchdown. We got it right back. Let's go back to what we were doing. Let's finish this shit off, and let's go. Not meant to be. And the only reason I was scared at the end of that was because we saw it in Dallas, and sure as shit, we had a sequel. When you have a really shitty movie, there's no reason to make a sequel. But we decided to do it anyway. SPP Williams, our guy. He says, happy collective day. I'm not optimistic, but I love Dart as a quarterback. He seems to have a New York dude, aggression, no BS. He's an exciting player to watch. Couldn't agree more. We got our guy. We got our guy. He's got everything you want in a quarterback, man. He's got to work on stuff. We knew he wasn't a finished product coming out of Ole Miss. He has to work on that deep ball. He's been very inaccurate with that. He's under Tony's over. I think that's just footwork, honestly. And I again. But to our point, can Brian Daboll's the quarterback guru? Can he teach him that? Or do you need to bring somebody else in here that could teach him that? Because he couldn't teach Daniel Jones shit about shit.
Daboll's not a quarterback guru. I'm not saying that he doesn't know quarterbacks, but I don't think he's of the level of some of these other guys. Look at Daniel Jones with Shane Steichen. I mean,
Kevin O'Connell, baby.
Kevin O'Connell. Look what So I don't put him on the level of a Kevin O'Connell. I don't.
No.
Personally.
The thing is, when it comes to teaching a quarterback something or teaching any NFL player something, it's not necessarily the coach's job to teach them how to do something, right? They're supposed to coach them, put them in positions to win, but the teaching part of it is kind of different. That you usually see the players work on in the offseason. Like their footwork isn't just going to naturally, get better overnight. They're going to have to train on that all offseason long. And when you think back to when Josh Allen was in Buffalo, there's that one video, maybe you guys have seen it. I think it was pretty viral, but Josh Allen did an interview with his personal trainer that he worked out with in the off seasons, the quarterbacks coach that he works with. I can't remember which quarterbacks coach it is. Otherwise I'd say his name, but he had Josh Allen completely rework the way his hips move. And then all of a sudden he became an accurate passer. It was all in the hips. It was just that he needed an outside trainer to teach him how to throw the ball the proper way. That's something that a NFL coach doesn't teach you. You need a trainer to teach you that. So, and I think again, Jackson Dart, he'll train in the offseason. The kid wants it. He has definitely got a good work ethic. He'll find a good trainer and he's going to fix those little things. So it's not going to happen this year, but draft a quarterback for 1 year. He's hopefully here for a decade forward, plus. I want him here for 2 decades. So,
that's
obviously plenty to learn.
Going forward. But yeah, like you talked about next year, like he gets better at that. I mean, I think he's already the real deal, but if he learns how to be more accurate where you can really stretch the field, especially when Neighbors is healthy, that's going to be huge when you have that deep play threat. So everybody talks about how he overthrew Jalen Hyatt, and he did a little bit, I guess. You think Jalen Hyatt would have caught the ball?
Probably not.
Anthony, don't.
Right through his fucking hands.
Oh, it's the best. That's the best. Thank you. Our first round cornerbacks are so bad. Ross was average at best. Prince is also average. Apple was a bust. Baker, another bust. Banks is the worst of all. Boy, we do have a shitty track record of freaking. At least Aaron Ross was part of a championship team.
That's a tricky position to draft, though. I feel like there's a lot of busts with first round corners, but yes, we do have a bad track record.
That's a tough position.
I remember Jeff Okudah. Everyone said he was like the next Darrelle Revis, complete bust. That's a tough position to draft.
Prince
he had some injuries too, though. Sorry, I was just going to say the one common denominator though that I see with all of those cornerbacks, the Giants were drafting with a need for every single one of those. It wasn't the best player on the board any single time they took those corners. And that is oftentimes a trend because the secondary, there's so many players that have to fill out a secondary, and it's such a volatile position. The primes are very short for the top cornerbacks in the NFL, and a lot of those players get injured frequently. So essentially why you see so many cornerbacks go in the first round is because you have to draft them for need. It's one of those positions that you kind of have to reach on, but when you do, sometimes you do get burnt, and that's why, you're seeing a rookie 24th overall pick cornerback immediately as the CB1 of the New York Giants. Yeah, he's going to get thrown into the fire. He's going to get burned, especially in this division, and that's ultimately what happened to Deonte Banks long term. So drafting for need is just that's what you're playing with fire.
Yeah, without question. That's just that's the problem. I don't think obviously we needed a quarterback, but you did it. Every team needs a quarterback. It's always a need until you find one. And it takes some teams longer to find one. I mean, a lot of teams don't ever find that guy. So I think we found ours. Again, I want to give a big shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this portion of the show. Check out Sleeper. Again, almost 11 million people are using it. Fast and easy to make a contest. You just click the link in the description under the promo code HMA. Get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100. And click that link, open a Sleeper account. You're going to get $20, no deposit required. That way you can check it out and see if you like it. And if you do, you're still eligible for that $100 match deposit bonus. Let's hear from Sleeper. 30 seconds. Back after this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
I'm laughing at what Nonstopper said. Chauncey Billups should have used Sleeper.
Yeah. Chauncey Billups. Yeah, it's great. The NBA, you can't get enough. You wonder why the ratings are super low in that sport.
What was the guy? One of the guys, I read it briefly because I was leaving work today. I don't know if it was Terry Rozier or another player. Apparently they leaked that LeBron wasn't going to play. I think it was the game last? Did LeBron not play last night?
No, LeBron's out for like a month.
Then they must have been talking about a prior year in a game where nobody knew that LeBron wasn't going to play. The guy leaked the information to like insiders, so he got arrested for that. Yeah. So crazy. That was a crazy story today. The NBA gambling scandal. That they've been scarred with that. You go back to the referee scandal. Yeah.
Yep. Herbert just threw a pick six. Illusion says we need to draft a
Already?
linebacker. Yeah, it just happened. That's his first possession. We need to draft a linebacker, and I say the first round we draft an lineman, keep building the trenches, let them grow a dart, then a free agent wide receiver. Boy, we could use a linebacker. We haven't had a good one, and we haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round since 1984. That was Carl Banks.
Get him in the Hall of Fame.
Who belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yep.
He definitely
I do
belongs.
want a new linebacker too.
No, is that ball on the ground? I'm just sorry.
There's so many Giants. Tiki, how is Tiki not in the Hall of Fame? How is Carl Banks not in the Hall of Fame?
That's Tom Coughlin.
Eli, it's only been a year. I get it, but he should be in the Hall of Fame. Coughlin should be in the Hall of Fame. I feel like there's so many players that have been cited from this organization.
They definitely do.
You can even argue Phil Simms.
Yep, he'd be a borderliner, but
Yeah.
Tiki belongs in there. He's got over 10,000 yards. He did it in 7 years as a starter. Chislow, thank you, says Russ got a season to teach Dart the moon ball. And I think it's more of his footwork than his arm strength. I don't think he's lacking for arm strength. He just doesn't have the touch on the ball. And I think you saw the flea flicker. He's completely flat-footed and he threw it short. So it's just, I think he might have a tendency to hurry it too. Because I saw a stat that he's left a lot of yards in the field because he's just missed open guys. And I feel like he probably sees that and he gets wicked excited and he just hurries the throw. He'll learn. He's a rookie. He's played 4 games. So
he also doesn't have any real weapons right now. Too.
I don't worry about Dart. Anthony's pointing.
And we had drops.
Guy. He wants to win. You can just tell he is a winner. That mindset is there.
Yeah.
He's just got it. And I guess that was incomplete. He's got the it factor. He just doesn't have the pieces around him yet. And he doesn't have the coaching staff around him, which is a freaking killer.
Yep.
Hopefully it gets better. But with that said, that'll bring us to the close of another edition of Giants Collective. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't done so, please do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up. It helps. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 6K. We came in about 25 short. So if we get to 6,000, that would be amazing. You can check us out wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or iHeartRadio. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. And hey, listen, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Go watch the football game and let's beat the shit out of the Eagles and sweep them. If nothing else, that'll give us plenty of joy to have for the next week.
Super Bowls in 1 year if we win, according to Eagles.
Yeah, that's right. We have 6 Super Bowls. When they sit there and go, "Oh, that was your Super Bowl," I'm like, "Good, then we have 5 and you have 2." You guys are falling even farther behind because you're absolute trash, and they are trash. Fuck them. Have a good night, everybody. I can't help it. They always bring out the worst in me, the damn Eagles. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the game Sunday, and let's go Giants. And we out.
Let's go Giants.
Go